Hello guys, what's going on? Guys, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed by Microsoft's politics that they kind of utilize to launch their new console, the Xbox One. There are so many U-turns and so many changes in their politics as they go along, and it kind of continues to this day. And I just thought I'm going to make a quick video in which I break down my thoughts on that, and I just summarize where things just went completely wrong and what could have been improved. Let me just start in the beginning with, if you are a really passionate Xbox One player, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the Xbox One. It's a good console. I don't own one myself. I'm just kind of interested in all the politics around it, but there's nothing wrong with playing the Xbox One. I don't want to turn this into kind of a console war and make the Xbox One look bad compared to the PlayStation. This is not what this is about. It's literally all about how a corporation like Microsoft can screw up so big time in launching a console, especially since they already have several generations of consoles under their belt. So when the Xbox One was originally launched in November 2013, it all kind of started already with the name. The Xbox One was supposed to be the one device that is all about media and television and movies and gaming all at the same time. It's the one device that you supposedly need to do all the things media in your home, and it will make every other device obsolete. That was the promise. It didn't live up to that at all. Just even now, half a year later, they made a complete 180-degree U-turn on that. As part of that promise, they said you will need the Kinect and you will need to be always on. These are two things that are essential, and the system will literally not run without it. That's what they said. And just half a year later, they kind of realized it didn't go so well with the consumers, and a lot of people hated on them because of that. So, suddenly you don't need the Kinect anymore, and we just realized that now. And I mean, how can you be so inconsequent in kind of your decisions? It just gives me the strong impression that they're deeming all their hardcore fans to be quite stupid, right? Because it's like, you're an early adopter, you spend your money on the Kinect and Xbox bundle, and you kind of trust Microsoft to follow that route and to develop loads of interesting applications and games for the Kinect that are built around the Kinect, and that you will make it work. But then suddenly they make this 180-degree U-turn where they're like, oh yeah, we don't need the Kinect anymore. And I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with kind of correcting your mistakes. Obviously they realized it wasn't the smartest decision to force people to buy the Xbox One together with the Kinect, but at least you can apologize for it. We all remember when Nintendo kind of lowered the price for the 3DS really early. They gave out 20 free games as an apology and said, look guys, that wasn't the greatest thing. If you're an early adopter and you pay too much for the system, here are 20 free games, and we just kind of want to make up for that. There's nothing from Microsoft in that direction. They're just like, oh yeah, well, we realize we made a mistake, and well, you better swallow it. Another quite important point is, I mean, you've probably heard it at Gamescom this year in Cologne. They announced that the new Tomb Raider game will be exclusive to Xbox One. And that is just an outright lie, because a few days later, Phil Spencer sits in an interview and he's asked whether, it's going to be completely exclusive to Xbox One. And then he's like, oh no, actually it's kind of just time exclusive, and it's gonna come out first on Xbox. And I mean, seriously, it's a major difference between a game coming out exclusively, especially a huge game like Tomb Raider that a lot of people look forward to, coming out exclusive on a console, or just coming out first on a console. And I mean, how can you stand on a stage and announce it to be exclusive when you know damn exactly that it will not be exclusive? It will just come out first. That just kind of communicates to me that Microsoft is seriously desperate at this point, and they really go down these kind of risky routes in which they really lie about the exclusivity, and they make 180-degree U-turns in the middle of a console launch, basically. And it's just a complete mess. I don't understand how they cannot think about these things before. I mean, look at it. If you launch a console that is bundled with Kinect, and Kinect wasn't a big success on the Xbox 360, nobody wanted it at that point already. The feedback from the fans was pretty clear. On top of that, there were not many games that utilized the technology in a really smart way. The same goes for the always-on DRM. We've seen it on so many games before. As soon as you turn a game or a console or anything to an always-on thing, people just freak out completely, and you get a lot of hate to your direction. So it's not something where Microsoft could have thought, oh well, it will go all well and people are gonna love our always on stuff because it's really required to create an amazing experience. Well, it's not. It was foreseeable that it would kind of boil up to be a complete rage against them, and that's what ultimately happened, and then they kind of broke in and turned around 180 degrees. Next thing is the 1080p discussion. In an interview in like mid-August with Phil Spencer, I think with CVG, I'm gonna put the link down in the description, he said, frame rate is significantly more important than resolution. 1080p is not some mystical perfect resolution, right? So he's saying it's more important that the game runs really smooth with constant 60 FPS rather than having this 1080p thing, which, to be honest, I kind of agree with. I think that's a statement that makes sense. But then just a few weeks later, they're talking about the launch of Diablo 3 on Xbox One, which originally came with a resolution of 900p, and then Microsoft addressed Blizzard very quickly after that and said, no, 900p, that is completely unacceptable, right? I mean, how can you say one thing in mid-August and then just a week or 1.5 later you say no, 900p is absolutely unacceptable? And there are videos on YouTube where you kind of can see that now Diablo 3 is not running with a constant 60 FPS because Microsoft forced Blizzard literally to put it up to 1080p. Probably they had to scale down some of the effects, some of the texture quality as well to make it work, and it's still not running with a constant 60 FPS. So they're contradicting themselves all the time in these kind of statements. It's just really impressive that it continues till this day, that they cannot kind of have one continuous line that they're following with their console. Guys, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that the Xbox One is doomed forever. We remember that the Xbox 360 launch also didn't go too well in the early days, but then it kind of came back later and it was a huge success. Also, you have to give them that other companies kind of lied about console exclusivity before. I mean, I remember, for instance, that Prince of Persia and Beyond Good and Evil were originally announced to be exclusive only to PS2, and then a few months later they also came out on other consoles. Also, Phil Spencer took over just recently. He wasn't responsible for the launch of the consoles there, so there are a few things that you just have to give them. But the general attitude of lying and misleading your audiences and your fans is, to me personally, just disgusting. It's led by marketing, and you can see that a lot of people are sitting there and they're like, yeah, well, you know, if we make it always on, then we can grab all these data from the people and we can see how many people are in the room. It will give us a great basis for research. And marketing is just pushing through these thoughts that then kind of clash with the actual idea of the gamers, and then they're kind of paddling back and realize that they made a big mistake. And it's just like, guys, replace these people, you know, take them out. Don't make your concepts led by marketing, make them led by gamers. And while you can see a bit improvement going on during the last month since Phil Spencer came in place, like taking out the Kinect out of the equation, which is probably a good thing, it's still really weird, and it feels majorly marketing led, and it feels majorly wrong. So I wonder, how long can Microsoft keep this up? How long can they keep pursuing this kind of route of lying to people, changing directions, and doing whatever they think at this moment is right and will give them the biggest benefit? What's the future of the Xbox, guys? I don't want to speculate too much on this. This video is way too long already, so please let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Where do you see the future of the Xbox? Are you a passionate Xbox player and all the things I've just mentioned don't really matter to you? What do you think where the concept Xbox will go in the future? So if you enjoyed the video, you can leave me a like or subscribe to my channel. That would be much appreciated. I'm looking forward to hear your feedback. Thanks guys for watching, and I'm out.